Do you know who Vincent Chin is?
I don't know who Vincent Chin is.
No, I never heard of Vincent Chin.
Do you know Vincent Chin?
No. Who is he?
He's a Chinese person who got murdered by two white people by a baseball bat.
Oh, okay.
He's the one who started Pan-Asian movement for Asian rights. Have you heard of him?
No.
Oh.
I do not know, be honest.
Vincent who? No idea.
Do you know who Vincent Chin is?
Vincent Chin. Who is he? Where did he come from? He's a mystery to me.
Vincent Chin was a Chinese American who lived in Detroit, Michigan. At the time, there was a massive loss of jobs in the U.S. auto industry due to Japan, and many white auto workers were laid off. On June 19th of 1982, Vincent was involved in a fight at the Fancy Pants Club during his bachelor party, where two white auto workers, Ronald Evans and Michael Nitz, said, "It's because of you that we're out of work," even though he was not Japanese. They were eventually kicked out, but Evans and Nitz chased down Vincent and smashed him with a baseball bat. His last words were, "It's not fair," before he slipped into a coma. On June 23rd, he died, 5 days before his wedding.
A traditional problem that Asians in this country have all faced is what is called a perpetual foreigner syndrome. And what that is it doesn't matter how long you've lived in this country, it doesn't matter how well you may speak English, other people will view you as being a foreigner. It doesn't matter how many generations you lived here, because you have an Asian face, people see you as not being a real American. And if you're not a real American, then perhaps you're more susceptible to being disloyal to this country. And if you are disloyal to this country, then maybe you are not, you should be granted the same rights and privileges as regular Americans. People look for a scapegoat. You know, who do we blame for our problems? And Asians have always been sort of an easy scapegoat for people to point their problems at. And certainly in the Vincent Chin case, people, because people were buying more Japanese cars at that time, and a lot of people, hundreds of thousands of people losing their jobs in Detroit, that a lot of Detroiters were pointing a finger at Japan and blaming them for America's economic woes. And a lot of that Japan bashing eventually translated into, the bashing of Vincent Chin.
On March 16, 1983, Evans and Nitz were both charged of manslaughter, given 3 years probation and a $3,000 fine, but no jail time. However, the opposition was not even present and no witnesses were called to testify at all. To protest the soft sentence, about 1,000 marchers protested the sentences in Detroit. During a federal trial, both men were found violating Vincent's rights. Evans was sentenced to 25 years in prison, while Nitz was cleared of all charges. However, after a retrial in May 1987, Evans was cleared of all charges as well, which meant neither of the murderers spent a day in jail.
The question of Vincent Chin's citizenship was one of the first things that the federal prosecutors looked at when they were trying to decide whether this was a case that the federal government should be bothered with, that that was within the purview and the federal protection, that an immigrant would be protected, that somebody of Asian ancestry would be protected. And this was debated. This was not a slam dunk foregone conclusion.
People across the country were shocked when they heard about the results of the trials and that no one was sent to jail. To respond to the sentences, commemorations and protest marches were held throughout the country to demand justice for Asian Americans. A few cities such as Los Angeles, San Francisco, and New York had rallies and ceremonies in reaction to the Vincent Chin case. It was during this time that the Chinese, Japanese, Filipino, and other Asians decided to come together as one. As one protester put during a rally, "If we don't stand together, we'll always be divided." Even African Americans participated in the protests, as they also faced racism in the past.
For the Vincent Chin case, it's fair to say there weren't Asian Americans. There were Chinese Americans, there were Japanese Americans, There had been briefly in the 1960s a student movement, but there wasn't a meaningful, abiding Asian American movement.
Despite protests held to argue for Vincent Chin's Asian American rights, some people still commit hate crimes after the case. Even today, Asians are getting physically attacked by others due to prejudice, especially by the generation that was born after the Chin incident. Nevertheless, Pan-Asian unity has remained strong ever since Vincent Chin. This was put to the test particularly in the 9/11 incident, when South Asians were being heavily prosecuted at the time for the plane crashes. Japanese Americans immediately rallied and fought for the Muslims' rights. Fortunately, Asians today are starting to get more involved in society, participating in politics and major role positions. As a movement, Asian Americans are realizing that there needs to be more action taken in order to fight and win against racism.
I think it really is up to the next generations to come to really make that difference and to say, hey, we're not going to just be stepped on anymore. You know, you have to listen to us. We have something to say. We have important things to contribute. We have been contributing, but we're not going to be ignored anymore.
The results of the Vincent Chin case have brought a multitude of successes, introducing Pan-Asian unity and the need to speak out to make a difference. Even though the fact that Evans and Nitz not spending a day in jail can be a judicial failure, courts today go by a different approach, requiring witnesses before judgment. Before, every Asian race used to keep to themselves, until the realization that in order to stop hate crimes, they need to stand as one. Asians are also being interwoven into American history, as they have made an impact on the way they are looked on today. Partaking in bigger roles such as politics and media and protesting together for civil rights have all been influenced by this case as well. The consequences that have been caused by Chin have been advantageous for Asians in society, ranging from music groups to journalism and acting.
If you look at the Vincent Chin case in terms of the legal results, it was a failure because ultimately Evans and Nitz were pronounced not guilty and never spent a day in jail. But if you look at it from a larger perspective, in terms of the impact and the legacy it's had on the Asian American community, I think it's been just an incredible success. It's taught the Asian American community that you cannot just stick to your own ethnic group. You really need to unite, form coalitions. You need to be involved in politics. You need to get your voice heard in order to really make progress in this country.
Already, Asian Americans are taking initiative today and making a change. Pop culture bands like Far East Movement have hit the #1 charts with their song Like a G6. District Representative Nung Trong has placed a healthcare bill due to her influence in politics. In addition, more and more Asians are modifying Asian American perspective for the better, like Donnie Yen in martial arts, Yao Ming in basketball, and Manny Pacquiao in boxing. With Vincent Chin's help, Asian Americans are able to make a difference today.